Welcome back to the Ancestral Findings podcast. When most people think about court records in genealogy, they imagine criminal charges, jail time, or dramatic trials. But there's a quieter, more common type of legal record that can be just as revealing: civil cases. These aren't about crimes. They're about everyday disputes, debts, business problems, and personal grievances. And they can open a window into your ancestors' lives in a way no census or marriage certificate ever could. From unpaid bills to broken promises, civil cases leave behind a paper trail of who our ancestors trusted, owed, sued, or were sued by. If you've never explored civil court records in your research, you're missing out on one of the richest sources of human detail in family history. A civil case is a legal dispute between individuals or entities where no crime has been committed, but where one party believes they've been wronged in a way that deserves financial compensation or legal remedy. Some examples of civil cases include unpaid debts or IOUs, business or trade disputes, divorce and alimony petitions, property line disagreements, lawsuits over damaged goods or livestock, complaints about slander or reputation. In the past, even small infractions, like failing to pay a neighbor for fence repair, could end up before a judge. These seemingly minor issues give us direct insight into how people lived, interacted, and clashed. Civil cases are personal. Unlike land deeds or census records, civil disputes reveal emotion, urgency, and conflict. They tell us things like who your ancestor worked with or traded with, how financially stable or unstable they were, whether they were respected or mistrusted in the community, what kind of relationships they had with spouses, neighbors, or business partners, if they were the type to stand up for themselves or get taken advantage of. You might even find copies of handwritten letters, statements of character, or itemized lists of goods your ancestor bought on credit. One case might only give you a name and a date, but others will offer story after story, detail after detail, all waiting to be explored. Civil records are usually stored separately from criminal ones, but the general process for locating them is similar. County courthouses. Most civil cases were handled at the county level, so your first stop should be the local courthouse in the area where your ancestor lived. Ask for access to civil dockets, case files, or minute books. Some have been digitized, while others are only available on-site or by mail request. State archives. If the case escalated beyond the local level or involved large sums of money or land, it may have been heard at the state level. State archives often hold historical civil case files, especially those from superior or appellate courts. Historical and genealogical societies. These groups may hold microfilm reels or transcriptions of local court proceedings. Sometimes smaller disputes were reported in newspapers, especially in rural towns where a trip to court was a noteworthy event. Online resources like FamilySearch.org. Many counties have digitized civil records available in their catalog Ancestry.com. Select civil court indexes and case files, local government websites. Some counties offer searchable court dockets online. Don't forget to look at surrounding counties, especially if your ancestor moved frequently or lived near a county line. Here are some of the most common and interesting civil case types found in historical records. Debt and promissory note cases. These are some of the most common civil suits. Your ancestor may have borrowed money or failed to pay a merchant. These cases often contain payment schedules, witness testimony, and even household inventories listed as collateral. Land and boundary disputes. Neighbors regularly fought over unclear property lines, missing markers, or access to shared roads or water. These records can include detailed surveys or maps not found elsewhere. Divorce and separation filings. Even in eras when divorce was rare, civil court files may include petitions, evidence of abuse, adultery, abandonment, or financial neglect. They may also list names of children, living arrangements, and personal grievances. Defamation and slander suits. These are hidden gems. They reveal what people were saying behind closed doors and how those words spread. You'll learn who accused whom, what the community thought, and how honor and reputation were defended in court. Breach of contract cases. Whether a business deal went bad or a handshake agreement fell apart, breach of contract lawsuits often contain original contracts, letters, or descriptions of work and services that reveal occupation details you won't find in the census. Damage or injury claims. Sometimes neighbors sued one another for damage to livestock, crops, fences, or even physical injury. These cases may include testimony, valuation estimates, and fascinating glimpses into rural or urban life. Examples from real research. A researcher in Ohio found a civil court record involving her second great-grandfather who sued a blacksmith for breaking the wheel of his wagon. The file included both men's statements, a diagram of the damaged wagon, and a list of tools used to try to fix it. She learned not only about the court case, but about what type of wagon her ancestor used, how far he traveled, and how much the wheel was worth in that community at the time. Another family historian in South Carolina found a record from 1852 where her ancestor's widow filed a civil claim against her brother-in-law, accusing him of selling her deceased husband's tools and keeping the money. The case gave names of tools, family relationships, and the occupation of the deceased, which wasn't recorded anywhere else. When you find a civil court case, here's how to make sense of what you're seeing. Start with the docket or case index. It will give you the date, names of parties, and basic details. Look for the petition or complaint. This is where the person filing the case explains what happened. Read through any responses. The other party's rebuttal may offer their side of the story. Review depositions and witness lists. These can reveal relationships or community opinions. Note the final judgment. Did your ancestor win? Were they ordered to pay damages? Be aware that older handwriting can be difficult to read. Don't give up if the first few pages are confusing. Keep going. You'll often be rewarded with personal insight, context, and family names you didn't expect to find. Civil court cases are rarely indexed like vital records. They don't show up in the basic genealogy searches and are often filed in old archives under outdated legal terms. But that's exactly why they're so valuable, because few people dig deep enough to find them. They can fill gaps, confirm relationships, or explain why someone moved, changed occupations, or ended up financially ruined. And they add human texture to your family story. Just like with criminal records, some civil cases touch on sensitive subjects: affairs, abuse, betrayal, or financial failure. Handle what you find with care, especially when sharing it with others. Not everyone in the family may be ready to hear the full truth, especially when it conflicts with long-held beliefs. But don't be afraid to document what you find. The truth deserves a place in the family story, even if it's complicated. Your ancestors weren't just names on paper. They were people living full, messy, interesting lives. They loved, failed, struggled, and sometimes got caught up in legal battles. When you take time to explore civil court records, you begin to see them as they really were: flawed, resilient, and deeply human. If you haven't yet searched for these types of records, consider making them your next research goal. You may be surprised by what you find and by how much more real your family story becomes. If you've got a hard-to-find ancestor you're stuck on, I'd love to hear about it. Just head over to ancestralfindings.com and click on Contact to send me a message. While you're there, take advantage of our free weekly genealogy lookups. Explore thousands of articles and enjoy hundreds of podcast episodes. We've been helping family history researchers since 1995. And if you're looking for even more, check out our Genealogy Gold Q&A series over on Patreon. Thanks for listening. And as always, happy searching.